Hi, didn't see you there. I was just enjoying this brilliant book. What's that, you ask? Of course I'll share it with you. Let us begin. It was a mild summer's eve, the night my life turned upside down. My parents were swingers, so they weren't home a lot. I spent most of my evenings browsing the One Direction website and strumming myself to the mellow tones of One Thing. But it was never enough. I was still yet to experience the exquisite feel of a man's penis caressing the walls of my vagina. I finished up, and as I was wiping myself down with a KFC freshener, there was an aggressive knock at the door. It couldn't have been my parents, as they were having sex with strangers. I hastily pulled out my undergarments as I stumbled to the door, unpicking my wedgie as I went. I composed myself as I unlocked the door and slowly opened it. I could have sworn I was dreaming when I saw those 5 dark figures erected before my eyes. It couldn't be, or could it? Sorry to bother you. I know it's late, but our tour bus is broken down. Could we use your phone, please? I was unable to speak. Harry Styles stood directly in front of me, his immaculate hair rippling seductively in the breeze. He looked at me in the eye and smiled, causing my breasts to tingle. Of course, come in. It's warm in here. I stood aside and allowed them to all to pass. One by one, their jackets brushed against my clitoris, sending a shiver up my body. It was a tantalizing appetizer of what was to come. Would any of you like a drink? I think there's some of my dad's whiskey around here. I'd love a Guinness if you've got one, he said, in his cheerful yet slightly irritating Irish accent. I'll see what I can do. The band were left to talk amongst themselves on my sofa as I slithered into the kitchen. I found the whiskey almost immediately, but I struggled to find the Guinness. I didn't want to let the tiny little Irishman down, so I had to improvise. I poured him a glass of Coke and topped it with sour cream. It looked convincing. I gave the boys their drinks and sat down in the armchair opposite to them. So, you need a phone, right? Of course, said Lou. Thank you so much for this. He looked at me suggestively, and my tits began to tingle once more. I stood up and felt a little lightheaded due to the excessive amounts of arousal. As I left the room to find my phone, I could hear them talking quietly. She's alright actually, isn't she? Whispered Zara. Do you think she's ready? Replied Harry. She's gonna have to be. Silence falls, and the only sound that can be heard is the rhythmic dripping of my frothing vagina as it listens. The next thing I knew, the entire band was stood before me, their wangs on full display. Their erections stood to attention, like proud soldiers about to embark on a dangerous and potentially life-threatening sexpedition. A smile wipes over my face, and my vagina acts accordingly. Shall we go to the bedroom? Asked Zion. Suddenly, an idea crossed my mind. I had an image in my head of a dark stone room with an array of sex implements hanging from the walls. Though I stumbled upon them, I was merely a child. My parents' sex dungeon. It was perfect. Follow me, I said provocatively. We made our way down the semen-soaking stairs. I turned to them. Be careful on the stairs, they're a bit spunky. As we travelled down what seemed to be like 100 steps, I could feel at least 3 separate erections poking into my back. I closed my eyes and savoured them all, causing me to fall rather dramatically down the stairs. When I finally reached the bottom, I landed, legs sprawled, sprinkling vaginal juices in One Direction's direction. They piled into me, one by one. It all happened so quickly, so to this very day, I'm still unsure as to which one of them broke my hymen. After about 24 seconds of pure pleasure, they all ejaculated simultaneously, showering me in their sweet, sweet man milk. I came with such intensity that I saw myself through no fault of my own. I was so embarrassed and was ready to leave the room as quickly as I could, but to my surprise, Harry became immediately erect once again. He started groaning as he embraced handfuls of my excrement and proceeded to lather himself with it. I noticed that others had started furiously masturbating in response to Harry's unexpected actions. Soon after this, the room became a swirling whirlpool of shitty semen and despair. What started as a highly charged erotic experience ended up a vile and most likely illegal act of desecration on the human body. But I was loving it.